The next step is to secure some wax. And the wax you buy will be particular given the kind of frame you have. What you're going to probably be using is a wired foundation, vertically wired foundation with a little cleat, a little foot on it. There's about a dozen little edges here where the wire sticks off. I don't know if you can see them. Perhaps against the white you can. Okay. Now, we're going to take the frame that we've just built and wired, and we're going to take I'm going to take that frame and lay it on the table with the cleat side up. Remember, this is the cleat that you took out. You're going to need that, but there's a place where that cleat came out. You're going to lay that on the table with the cleat side up. You're going to take a piece of that wax with the little feet sticking up, and you're going to insert the wax between those two wires like this. Next, you're going to feed that wax down between the center of down through the bottom of the bottom bar, and sometimes the little wire pins stick, so it takes a little bit of maneuvering it until you get it in place like this. Then you're going to take that cleat, put it in place above those little feet, the little wax parts, and you're going to take a couple of these little 1/2-inch nails. I usually try to use 4, some people use 5, and you can hammer them in at a little bit of an angle. Just enough to seat that cleat in place. And you're almost done. I'm going to do the other one, just so you have a... Inserting the frame between the two pieces of wire. Bring it up through the bottom bar. Now you do want to work with this wax when it's at least room temperature or thereabouts. If it's too cold, the wax can get fragile and crack. So the wax is now seated, and I'm going to secure that cleat. Again, with it's unusual once you get a piece of wax seated and once the bees have started to work it, it's unusual for a piece of wax to come out. Very good. We're almost finished. You've got one more step yet to go. The last step is to embed that wax into the embed that wire into the wax. Now you don't need you need one fancy tool for that. This is a spur embedder. You can buy a fancy board to do that with that fits these frames. But just as often I use a board that just sits, it's cut just big enough so that it sits behind that frame and provides support to the wax. And I'm going to run that spur embedder along the wax and embed the wire down into the wax. And you want to do that on both sides. If you fail to take this last step, sometimes the queen won't want to lay eggs in the frame where the wax is. And these two frames are done and ready to put into your new beehive. Okay, next we're going to demonstrate very quickly how to build your boxes. Again, we're using medium equipment here, medium-sized equipment, but there are shallow and deep equipment that some beekeepers prefer. We are also going to be demonstrating a box cut, assembling a box cut today. That's what most of our equipment will be. Okay. Now, one of the first choices you'll have to make is whether you want to, you're going to be using glue, but whether you want to be using nails or screws. I'm going to demonstrate both, but to start with, if you're going to be using nails, I'm going to recommend that you very quickly pre-drill your holes, and that's very easily done. You're going to use a very fine bit, and through the center of the box, the finger there, you're going to throw some holes. Pre-drilling is not essential. Pre-drilling is certainly not essential, but if you don't pre-drill, there's a good chance your wood will split, and that's less than an optimal situation. Okay. The next trick, and the only real big trick to getting your wooden ware together, is to make sure that the handles all point in the same direction. Now, you'll notice on the side here there's an area where the handle, you can grip it, and you want that to be gripping up in the same direction on all four sides of your box. You're going to go back to your tight bond, and again, in this instance, you're not going to be bashful about glue. You want to get some glue on the sides and in the bottom of each of those grooves. So you're going to go to the sides and bottoms of the fingers, rather. Very good. Now the next step, for the squeamish, you want to spread that glue around a little bit. I like to have a nice thorough pasting of glue. Again, if you have a little bit too much, it's not a problem. You're going to be able to wipe that off relatively easily and not leave much of a mess. But it does get your finger kind of sticky, and that's where the wet rag comes in handy. Okay. Next, you're going to fit those fingers together. And depending on the quality of the wooden ware and who the producer is, these boxes are often very tight. And so you're going to need to persuade that a little bit. You want to bring it down gently. The one thing you want to be cautious is not to hammer on this top part where it's where the frame rest is going to be. So we're going to bring that joint together. Again, going kind of slowly. But you'll see as you bring this, and this wooden ware I'm working with today is a very tight box cut. But the spaces are gradually disappearing. Now as you go, the glue will start to ooze out, and you're going to want to take that glue away with your wet cloth. Now you're ready for your nails.